Welcome to your 12 sign horoscopes for Neptune sextile Pluto in the signs of Aries and Aquarius. This is the horoscope for all 12 signs. I want to welcome you warmly to the Cosmic Sky Podcast. I'm going to be discussing this in depth. I'm going to be breaking down how each sign can be impacted and what each sign needs to know for this grand conjunction going on with Neptune and Pluto is a sextile, which is this window of opportunity that we take advantage of. So I'm going to be doing that. First of all, I want to say I did the video yesterday and I played a song in the video. And apparently the AI didn't like that and it said that it was copyright. I have no idea why. I have no idea why it would, I was just playing it on the keyboard. God forbid. I wasn't playing the recording of the song. I was playing what I knew of the song. I don't know. The technology is getting as good as it is so that it can pick up on all these kind of things. And the danger with over copyright rules and restrictions is that we limit our own freedom of what we want to do. If we have too many rules with copyright, we limit our own speech, our own freedom, our own autonomy. So I'm livid that that it copyrighted that. At least it wasn't the image that I used, because I thought it was the image that I used. Any of the options for images now are open. But anyway, I believe so. Trusting that when I put an image in the video, it won't show up as potential earning. There's a problem with it. And for the many, many videos that I've done with images, all of them haven't shown up as that. So I do believe I am good with that. But that song that showed up, it really was very, very livid toward me why that thing showed up. And so from now on, I'm not going to take any risks. I'm not going to take any chances. I'm going to do my own songs. Do my own songs, my own interpretations, my own of what I do best. I'm a creative person with music. I create my own music. I create my own songs. I create my own lyrics. And so I will do that from now on. If I have any song that I want to bring into any video that does exist, I'll just go through the lyrics and just express why I've had that song in the video, and I won't be playing it. And, it's very, very sad that I can't play it because I really want to play it. But if the system picks up that it's copyright, I don't want to be eventually making videos and having them monetized, and then there's strikes on my channel because I apparently went against copyright. Probably have to submit an appeal to YouTube saying, no, this is wrong. The system is a little bit strict, and they shouldn't limit people's freedom to just play, God forbid, play the songs that they know that they really, really like. And the reason why I included that song in there is because I really liked it. I wanted to include that in there as a good song. I wanted to prove a point by playing the song as an introduction to the video to lead into what I was talking about. Is that a crime? Just to play a song that you really, really like in a video that you know that's out there? Is that really a bad thing? Seriously. I just think it's ridiculous. I think it's utterly ridiculous. And I think that the system in YouTube was wrong for doing that, in my opinion. The times when I do include songs are very, very far and few and far between. Yeah. It's kind of, sad, but I don't want to take any risks, so I won't do it. And I will just express to you why I have the song. Maybe I'll take even more time to go through the lyrics of the song and why I express that song in there. I unfortunately cannot play the song because it will probably result in copyright. But I still disagree with, why the song was copyrighted. I think that it should not have been copyrighted. And their AI needs to get changed around so that it doesn't just pick up on any little thing. Pretty soon it's going to pick up on somebody reading something off of a website. It's going to pick up on, oh, that's copyright. I mean, I can easily see where this is going. You see the problem with AI and the system of AI itself, right? And you see how this could become a problem. It's okay to take things from other sources and put them in your videos. As long as you're not playing the recording of it or, whatever. I mean, you could argue that even because I know somebody who does music reactions and I wonder how he gets around the copyright for that. I wonder how he gets around copyright when it comes to just playing songs. Surely he gets those messages oh, your channel gets, he's monetizing for his content. So I don't know how he gets around that. I have to ask him because I'm genuinely curious to hear what he has to say about that. But I don't think that, I'm pretty, I'm a person that's pretty lenient with copyright. I'm pretty light and I'm not too strict and I'm not too, harsh about copyright. That's not who I am. That's not what I personally believe. I think that you include something because you like it and you want to showcase it, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. I think that there's nothing wrong with that. It's out there. Take it, enjoy it, do what you will with it. I mean, seriously. I mean, that's just my feeling on that. I mean, still wrong to play songs and videos and do that, but God forbid playing a song on the keyboard. Okay, I'm going on and on. The next thing that I wanted to talk about before I even get into the 12 signs is last night I was watching a video by an astrologer that I really, really like. He did a video on Jupiter and Leo for all 12 signs. And he was talking about how when you have a lot of good fortune, when you really, really feel a lot of good fortune, and you are really, really feeling good fortune, like the energy of good fortune, things are going really, really well for you, and how when you have good fortune, you show condescending behavior toward others. You judge others. You push others down. You think that you are entitled. You think that you're above the rules because things are going so well for you, and it's about keeping that in check and taming that down. Well, I disagree with this. if you feel so good about what is going on in your life, if you feel really, really good about what is going on in your life, if things are working out very, very well for you, then you treat people very, very well. If you are happy, if things are going out in your life, then you project onto others positivity. Or not project, but you show positive interactions. You are benevolent. You are this and that. When you are feeling luck and good fortune, you don't judge and condemn others. You are very, very kind and feeling very, very good and abundant, that you treat others better. That you're more like, when you feel gratitude, it's easier for you to see things more positively. It's easier for you to have healthier relationships. When you feel really, really good, it is less easy for you to judge and be condescending toward others. But if your situation in life is not going out well, then it's like hurt people hurt people. I mean, that it could be both, and I guess you could say it could be, you understanding what others are going through. But I think that if you're really, really going through it tough, it's easier for you to, project this onto others. Project the negative experiences that you're feeling onto others. And I think that when you feel happier, it's easier to treat others well. And I know because I've been there. I don't think that we are just these horse centaurs that just have no just have no filter and cannot control themselves and cannot regulate their own emotions and be self-aware and all that. We're not out of control. And I just want to say, I said the curse word there. Sorry about that. I wanted to emphasize a point. I take that back. Centaurs. Forget I even said that H word. So centaurs. So we are centaurs. Well, we're not centaurs. We are human beings. We are soul-centered beings. We are spiritual beings. And we focus, spiritual beings, when we are connected to our souls, and we are feeling so abundant in our lives, we won't get out of control. I mean, who are we? Just mindless, thoughtless, animalistic human beings? I mean, no. It's not very spiritual of a thing to kind of say that. It's not the most spiritual thing to say that. And so that's why I disagree with that. And I'm bringing that up because Jupiter's in Leo right now. And you treat people better when you feel good, when you feel happier. And that's the truth of it. Feel it out. I think that you'll agree with me if you're ever in that state of being. And, it's easier to want to take others down when you're in a very, very dark place. You don't have to regulate it and keep it in check, quote unquote, when you're feeling very, very good. That is dimming your light and dimming your good feelings. Don't do that. Allow things to fill you up. Allow yourself to be authentic. Being authentic. When you're in your ego and you're taking others down, you don't feel secure. You do not feel secure within yourself enough that you feel like maybe this is all going to go away, or some other type of feeling. The reason why you condemn and judge others is because you are operating and projecting from a place of insecurity about yourself. Not from a place of, oh, I just feel so good and I'm just judging others. No. No. So, I don't agree with that. You know, you won't hear me saying anything like that. You won't hear me talking about, for others. I don't do that because it's not my belief system. It's not my belief system. When you shine your light and do your own thing and feel so good, you naturally do things for others. When you're in your soul, you naturally consider others. When you're authentic, you naturally consider others. That's my belief. And I want to hold true to that belief. So anyway, enough of my rant about that. I want to delve into the 12 signs now that I've covered enough of that. I just had to express that because I just felt so confident. Okay, delving into Aries now. Delving into Aries, I want to delve into your 12 zodiac signs at this point in the video. This is going to be long, so get ready if that wasn't already long enough, but I will not apologize for putting that in there. So, you want to follow along for your sun, moon, rising. Watch for your sun sign, your rising sign, probably most predominantly your sun, moon, rising sign. The rising sign is more mathematically accurate. The sun sign is more thematic and all those kind of things like that. And the moon sign is more, emotional and intuitive, and it deals with the more subjective components of life. So, yeah. So, that's what it is. So you want to watch for all three. Now, delving into Aries, I really, really want to delve into this. Okay. So delving into Aries, first of all. So for Aries, sun, moon, and rising, this is your reading. So, in the past, how have you been controlling? How have you been controlling or limiting anyone from being themselves? This is the thing. Is Aries can push. Aries can control. Aries can do all that. And I've talked about this before. I am, the wisdom that I can offer you is that you are worthy of being yourself just like everybody else. We're all equal, but we're all individual, like unity and diversity. Everyone is equal to shine in their own light and go after what they want and do what they want in their lives and be themselves. Be themselves. So, you are worthy to be yourself just as anyone. You just, and when you try to control others intentionally, because your intention is everything, when you control others, with the intention of controlling, and, pushing others down, and, egoically, and that this is wrong, that this is mean inside your bones, yet you still do it. Don't do, just be in your soul. Don't do what is wrong and that is egoic. Just be aligned with your soul, and just, part of what it means to be authentic is not to judge other people for also being authentic. It is to be your true self, mind your own business, and stop getting out of other people's business, and stop judging others, with being their true selves, being who they truly are. So that's what we have to remember with authenticity. It's the first point that I want to make. Now, the next point is how can you stop connecting with others superficially? What this means is connecting with others in a way of just going about hedging or sledging. Just going about thinking that you are right and they are wrong. And just thinking that if I am on a high and connecting with another person and on the high, then that's a real connection. That is not real connections. It's like catching up to somebody in a race. And when you're running and somebody joins you, they join you. And then you interact. And then once you interact with them, once you say, hey, I'm doing the same, and you move on. One of the shadows, this makes me sad. Aries can become very, very lonely because they're so hyper-independent. And Libra, their opposite sign, looks at that going, wow, that makes me sad. Why don't you just relate and connect? Like, you can connect and relate and form relationships and do all that. Like, one of the shadows of Aries is loneliness. Becoming very, very lonely. And not connecting. Not forming relationships. Like, we are worthy of forming healthy relationships. You are worthy to form healthy relationships. So there's this tendency to just go along with just metaphorically or literally running in a race and meeting up with somebody and going, hey, and then just moving on. Now is the time to not be beholden by others. That's not what I'm saying. But to live your life with others, because connect with your soul. I think that deep down, Aries, that you want connection, that you want relationship, because inside every Aries is a Libra. That they need, we're all humans, we need each other, we need social connections, and we need to form relationships, we need to feel emotionally connected with each other. Community is very, very important. So that is, really what I'm saying here. Deepening your connections with others on a spiritual level, I think is a really, really huge point that I want to emphasize here with Aries. And this sign is really, really very much about that. So, connecting with others spiritually. Connecting with others on a soul level is, really what I'm advocating for all Aries at this time, is to stop running about and catching up to someone for a certain time, then moving on, but to connect with them on a spiritual level. You should genuinely feel like this is spiritually good enough to connect them on this level, so I am connecting them on a soul spirit level, and I'm having a deep, honest, authentic connection with them. And also, just because you're in relationships doesn't mean you're letting others tell you what to do. That's not what I'm also saying. Also, you are doing what is true for you. I'm always advocating for people to do that. So don't let others, tell you what's true for you. And what isn't. You don't let others tell you what's true for you, and do all that. And okay, so what am I saying here? What am I saying? Okay, so basically I'm having a thought right now, like, I can say anything that feels right. Anything that feels right, I'm gonna say it. Point being, and allow others to also say what also feels right to them. So, again, no judgment to me, no judgment to others. So, don't let others hold you back from what is true for you, Aries. You determine that truth for yourself. You know your inner truth. You know it's true for you on an innermost level. You know it inside of yourself. So can you trust that wisdom? Can you trust that inner knowing? And just be honest with yourself. And say no. This truth, not my truth. This belief, not my belief. And be sovereign with that. You know what's true for you. You really, really inherently know what is your own truth. So anyway, I'm not going to continue to emphasize that point. And now moving on to Taurus. Have you been overly productive, providing so much, where you forgot to co-create with the divine, where you forgot that you had connection with the divine, partnership with the divine, that you are in a, that you can form a conscious connection to your higher power, Taurus. Now is the time to connect to your higher power. To connect to a power greater than yourself. Really, really form a healthy connection with that higher power is very, very important. So, where have you been overworking, overdoing, overgiving, all these kind of things like that? Where you've just been going at it, working so hard that you forgot, oh wow, I'm connected to spirit. I'm connected to the divine. Connected to the universe. And now it's time to come back into relationship with that. Come back into connection with that. Come back into conscious relationship with your higher power. So that's really, what you can understand here. Is really, really, because you work so much, you work so hard. But now it's time to remember that you are not alone. That you have support. That you can co-create your life as opposed to just create your life, on your own. Like we're not human beings that just create our life, just on our own. Like we have support, and it's helpful to know that we have divine support. We can have our guides, our angels, or whatever you subscribe to, your higher power, your divine support system, your spiritual support system. You can tap in to your inner knowing and connect with your higher power. Co-creating your life with divine. So, what doesn't feel truthful within bone? What doesn't feel true and authentic to you? That in your bones and your skin is the truth. There's this truth that you're looking at and you're like, this is my truth. This is what I know to be true. This is what I feel in my soul is the truth. Connect with that truth. Connect with that inner knowing, because only you know it. And any truth that doesn't resonate for you, let it go. Focus on your own inner truth. And what kind of spiritual practices help to ground you? What kind of things help to ground you in a way? Possibly for you, it's getting out of nature. Possibly the grounding is getting out in nature. Connecting with Mother Earth, connecting to the divine through Mother Earth, through that natural connection with nature. It's really, really what can support you at this time. Is these spiritual practices that are so healing for you, that are so helpful for you. So, excuse me. My gosh, okay. Okay, so what spiritual practices So just getting out in nature, meditating, all these things help to ground you. Because Taurus wants to feel secure. Taurus wants to feel grounded. So what can you do proactively to help you to feel grounded around this time? Just for your consideration. Again, these readings are not like, oh, you have to do this, or you have to do that. No, this is just all things to consider. So then moving on to Gemini. What structure has kept you from speaking your truth? What structure? Because I talked about power structures and the dismantling of power structures in that first video that I did yesterday. So in part 2, I'm bringing in the structures and how these power structures are keeping you from speaking your truth. Sharing your truth, sharing your voice, having a sense of truth, and sharing what's true for you. Where has this power structure kept you from sharing this truth? From living out this truth? So that's the very, very first thing you can consider, because you deserve to speak your own truth, have your own truth, go about your own way, and share what you want to share authentically. Share what's in your heart and your mind to share. That's what you deserve. Is to share what is true for you. And to not let any power structure hold you back from sharing that. Don't let any power structure hold you back from sharing your voice, speaking your truth, doing all of that. So what truth are you blinded towards? Because you're getting swayed by all the conflicting messages. Because Gemini can get, it's like a tree with its branches. It gets, swayed by the wind over this direction, that direction, and it doesn't have a good sense of grounding and identity and values within itself. It can struggle with that sense. Where, you're blinded towards, all the conflicting messages that you get. Feeling that, truth, intuitively within you is really, really important. Okay, so back to what I was saying here. So, you may have a lot of conflicting messages, a lot of conflicting things going on here. And you feel like that truth, like your intuition is getting squashed because of all the messages, because of all that's going on in your intellect. And you're not connecting with your intuition, with your soul self, with the part of you that just knows everything inherently. So, know that you are not powerless to the opinions and thoughts of others if you get swayed by all these messages. They tell you this, they tell you that, all these things. You have the power to have your own beliefs, your own thoughts, your own opinions, your own everything that you hold dear. You have freedom and autonomy with this. So it's about knowing that, trusting that, and really, really living that. So that you can have a good sense of footing that, yes, I know my truth, and I'm not allowing all these opinions to confuse me. I'm just so open. The downside of openness, Gemini, is you lack discernment, you lack boundaries, because all that can really, really confuse you, get into your head. You can get into your head, you can overthink, you can do all these things. So Gemini, get into your head. Find your own grounded sense of rooting yourself into your own truth and your own values and beliefs. That can really, really help you out with the confusion and the scattered struggle of trying to make sense of all the noise, trying to make sense of all the opinions, all the things that everyone's saying. Instead, you're finding grounding inside your own sense of self. That you can come back to your intuition, you can come back to your soul self and say, yes, now I know myself. And I know that this will work out. I know my own sense of truth, my own sense of belief and opinions inside of me. I just know it. And just knowing it is the key here. So then Cancer. And it's about going along with what I said about Gemini, not getting swept along emotionally by others with the truth that others give to you, an emotional truth that doesn't feel right for you. Because you already know the answers inside of you. You already know the answers inside. You already have the answers inside of you, Cancer. You already know the truth, your emotional truth that feels the most resonant to you, feels the most secure and safe and certain and honest for you. You know that truth. And so it's about being confident in that truth. Really living with that truth and understanding that. So, with that can make you feel emotionally secure. Another thing that can make you feel very, very emotionally secure is that you don't have to be so lonely. Well, your family can provide a lot of solace and a lot of support and a lot of kindness, a lot of consideration. They're not always going to be available. They have their own lives to live, they have their job and this and that. So when you need cuddles and nurturing and all those kind of things, where can you turn? Yourself. Self-sufficiency, nurturing yourself, taking care of yourself, loving yourself first. And you have your higher power to take care of yourself. You have your higher power to look towards. You have your higher power to be with you and to guide you and to help you along and to support you on your path of healing and nurturing and kindness and consideration. Whatever you're doing, you have your higher power right there with you. It's about connecting. It's about opening up the bridge and connecting with that power greater than yourself. And make sure that your family, that the power in your family is equal. Being sure that that power that goes on in your family, where everyone is equally distributing the power. No one has more power than anyone else. That no members of the family are more powerful than anyone else. That everyone's working collaboratively, that everyone has shared power. That children are working with the parents instead of the parents just ruling the roost, because to the children, especially teenagers, they can feel like, wow, I'm getting squashed. I am in a house where people have more control over me in my life. And doesn't that make you feel controlled? Doesn't that make you feel limited, restricted when others seem to have more power than you? So it's about shared power in families, where people are collaborating, coming together, not, where it's a democracy and not a dictatorship. And I know one strict family that I was seeing one time, my world's strictest parents said, this is how it's a dictatorship, not a democracy. Well, it kind of should be a democracy. Now, I'm not saying the children should rule the roost and then have everything going on and then do all this, but their voice should be heard and should be considered. And it should be a democracy where they are together making decisions. And they are understanding the value that they are not alone, that they can be connected with others, that they can work with others. They don't have to be subservient and subject to whatever the parents are doing to them. You know, but if they should be really, really in their egos, then they need to understand that they can't always have their way. If, and only if, they are in their egos. If children are in their egos. Because children can suffer from being in their egos versus their soul, because they didn't know the difference yet. You know, discerning between those things, the growing pains from that is really, really struggling to connect with that soul part of you and being so in your ego. I mean, it's hard. I've been there. It's very, very hard. And I was no exception to it. I threw temper tantrums. I misbehaved. I did all this. When I was growing up, like at age 12, I was doing it. So, yeah. So, you know, collaboration, coming together with the family, I think is so important. So anyway, I want to move on to Leo now. So let's talk about benevolence with Leo. I mean, I want to discuss benevolence, specifically with Leo, suns, Leo, risings, Leo, moons. So where are you not being benevolent in terms of what you are doing? In terms of what you're acting upon? Where are you overly focused on your egoic desires, what you're doing in your ego, and how it's working out in your ego? That seem to serve your ego, to make your ego feel really, really good. Make your egos big, huge, large. In which case, they don't serve others. You know, self-aggrandizement, or if that's even the word, or, you know, self-grandiosity, or, you know, whatever. So where are you benefiting from all these actions, from all these things going on, and others are not benefiting? You know, where are you gaining success or whatever, and it's not compassionate? It's not showing compassionate prosperity. So we want to show compassion, we want to show care, we want to show consideration, and all that kind of thing like that. So, you know, where we are about, you know, really, you know, being, you know, showing goodwill. Like, the definition of being benevolent is to show goodwill. So can you show goodwill? Can you pay it forward and show all kinds of kindness for others? It's really, really the key thing. Can you connect to your heart? Can you connect to a loving place inside of you that considers others naturally? Where you're loving, where you're kind, where you're open, where you're honest, and where you're not just gaining all these things just for your own gain and pleasure and greatness and specialness and splendor. You know, that's what I want to say. So forms of spirituality involving connecting with your heart frequency. Really, really huge. Because Leo rules the heart. So we want to connect with our hearts. We want to build that connection. And you might be into that. You know, you might be into heart coherence, or whatever the term is, or heart connection, or whatever. So it's great to connect with this. A practice that can help you get in touch with that. Really, really huge. And finally, where are you in an old story that no longer feels aligned with you? on an internal level. Where is this old story holding you back, Leo, from being yourself on an internal level? That doesn't feel aligned with you internally, where you are letting this go, letting this thing go. It doesn't feel aligned. And being in the in-between. We're in between worlds this time. We're in between the old and in between the new. I talked about that on the previous video. So, it's okay to be in between. You're not in the old world, you're not in the new world. There's a card from Call It Baron Reads Wisdom of the Oracle deck, In Between Worlds. It's a picture of a bird of some kind in the middle of two different worlds. And so how we could really be feeling during Neptune sextile Pluto is that we are in between the old and the new. So forming a new story, leaning into what doesn't feel aligned is very, very important for Leo. Now Virgo, you're not a powerless martyred victim. You're not a victim to having to serve, to having to be at everyone's beck and call, be a needs meter to everybody, take care of everybody's physical needs. You have power with all that you're doing. You have power with all that you are putting forth into life, really. Can you take it back? Can you take back your power? Be your true self and not allow others to keep you from that. Not having to serve, not having to be a martyr to them, not having to give all the time to them. All those kind of things like that. So it's really about being in your power. I think being in your power is huge. You're not allowing yourself to get burdened by all these responsibilities and duties and obligations where you have to just serve and show up and do all this. This Virgo can be yes person to everyone. Virgos can be people pleasers. They can be, showing up and having to do all these things, having to do all these tasks, these routines and all these kind of things for others and service. The South Node's finishing up its stay in Virgo at this time, so we're looking at how service to others is detrimental. We are overgiving. We are sacrificing ourselves. So this is a time to stop sacrificing yourself and have a sense of control and autonomy over your own life. Now, possibly someone who acts as a spiritual master in your life, who plays the role of a spiritual master, is judging you or condemning you. Judging you for, not being right, not being evolved, not being good enough, not being good enough. Oh, wow, this is abusive. Just wait till Pluto goes into Pisces. It's going to really bring a lot of this to the surface, because any leader, any spiritual leader that puts you down and says that I am greater and I am the master and you should listen to me, and seems to judge you and says like, oh, if you're not spiritually evolved to this state, then you're not good enough. Like, wait, no, that is not a healthy spiritual leader. That's not. It is not. I don't care how you slice it. It is not healthy with that. So we want to be very, very discerning about the spiritual leaders that we are paying attention to and that we're being in. This is for everybody, but especially for you now, because someone who acts as this master who is just judging you, saying that and this could be anyone having the hat, so to speak, of the spiritual leader, like wearing this hat. And where is this person wearing the hat? You're getting so concerned with how good the hat looks on their head that they're not having love in their hearts and consideration for you. Where they're judging you and they're doing all this. So that's also, and it's about breaking free of that, like breaking out of it and saying, no, I am not going to I'm not going to let the sinner get the better of me. I am going to be free. I'm going to be in situations where I feel like I'm enough. I'm going to love myself and know inside that I'm good enough, that I'm doing everything that I can right now in my life in the best way I can to manage my life, to make the most of my life. That I am a kind, loving person. I have a desire to serve and all that, and I am enough and I am perfect. And doing things to help the world, doing things to help others is enough, and that's beautiful. I really, really strongly subscribe to Annie Paquette's beliefs about that. You can check her out on the homepage of my channel. She has a lot of good content going on her channel. I really, really, have really, really liked all the content that I've seen from her. She's more pragmatic. She's more down to earth when it comes to spirituality, and I really, really like that about her. So you can check her channel out in the spirituality channels down below this YouTube channel. So, then the final thing is you aren't doing this life alone, because I think that Virgo can suffer from just living this life alone, having to do it all on their own, having to be a martyr, having to do all the tasks, do all the daily routines, and having to work so hard, work your butt off, have to get somewhere in life. So you are interconnected with a higher power at this time. So can you deepen your connection? Can you remember that you don't have to struggle and suffer and do all the stuff alone? You don't have to feel exhausted and burdened and stressed and anxious and all these kind of negative emotions when it comes to having to do it all on your own. You have support. You have the divine support to help you. You have your higher power. You have all this spiritual support system. So this is about deepening your connection to that. This is about strengthening your connection to that specifically. Now, Libra, what spiritual practices help you? Help you to evolve, help you to grow, not necessarily your partner. What helps you? What spiritual practices resonate for you in your own life? It's about getting out of what the other ones, what the other things works, what the other field works, and focus on what you believe works for you. Now, what structures have others limited you into that keep you from your sense of self? That keep you from really, really being yourself, Libra? What structures have, kept you from being who you are? Maybe these are religious structures that teach about being selfless and not loving yourself because it's selfish or whatever, and just getting rid of the self entirely. And judging you, saying that being selfless and all those kind of things is a virtue, quote unquote, and self-sacrifice, like confusing kindness and twisting it into self-sacrifice. Like, that is not healthy. So any kind of religious structure that has really, really boxed you into this and really, really made you feel very, very upset about this and made you feel very, very limited and constrained by this is really, really holding you back. So look at the structures that have held you back from focusing on yourself, taking care of yourself, loving yourself, and getting out of this church and this mosque with that cross or whatever religiously that's keeping you from that. Really, really huge with this. And then, how can you create better harmony on the planet, with the planet? How can you take care of the Earth and all that it has in it? Because you want to harmonize. You want to create a more better, harmonious, loving world, beautiful world, peaceful world. So how can you, in your own small ways, contribute to that? Because you so want all this peace and harmony. So now's the time to add your own contribution to that. Now, Scorpio. This is about teaching the next generation. I talked about this on the original video, the part 1. Inspiring your children that you aren't alone in a dark, lonely world where you have to do it all yourself. Where, this world is a tough place. You have to work so hard and try to survive in the world and get by, and this life sucks the life out of you, and life is a burden, life is a duty, responsibility, and people are mean, people are cruel, people are selfish, like all these things. That you are interconnected with a higher power, with the divine support system, with the divine helper. That you are interconnected. You can lean on them for support. You can ask them for support. Ask them for help. Ask them for all these things and get their help. Receive their help. Like, are you open to receiving their help? So can we inspire the children? Can we teach the next generation that we are, in fact, interconnected with the higher power? Can we let them know that they can connect to their spirit team, to their spirit support system, that they can connect to the divine, that they can go throughout their lives with a connection to the invisible, with trusting the invisible, with trusting the divine, so that they aren't lonely, that they aren't alone, that they have the support there. And focus out of acting on the compulsion to do good for the world and pay it forward. Focus on acting with the compulsion to do all this for others because you genuinely want to do this. You genuinely want to serve, want to make a difference, want to do all this. And you feel compelled to do all this, not getting OCD obsessed about routines and structures and things being in the right place and things, all these kind of things like that really, really make you feel depleted and drained and imprisoned by OCD, imprisoned by compulsion to organize everything and have everything be in a certain place and having to live your life being a slave to this monster, having to do all these routines and check all these things so that the monster can be happy. Be careful about what you're feeding, and I have to do this too because I can feel myself slipping back in to it. So be careful about what you are feeding your mind, your own psyche, your own voices in your head, because you could be feeding the devil. You could be feeding that OCD monster. And I'm not saying you have OCD. I certainly had OCD back in 2022 and 2023, and it was brutal. Unpleasant detail I'm not going to say here, but my hands got cracked, and you know, they bled sometimes, like were very, very dry, etc. I was washing my hands over and over again. I was doing all these things over and over again. So letting go of that, and actually the desire, that you feel passionate and compelled to make a difference, and this makes you feel uplifted because you genuinely want to serve, you genuinely want to help out of the goodness of your heart. So that is what I'm saying here. And, you put up with a lot in your life when it comes to the difficult things going on, when it comes to crisis, when it comes to challenges and struggles and all this. So now it's time to support yourself and others with living a kinder, easier life. With living this kind of life that is kinder and easier. It's not based around struggle and burden and difficulty and all these kind of things like that. Giving your children what you never had, giving others what you never had, because you probably had to put up with a lot of difficult situations in your life, probably likely if you're a Scorpio or Scorpio rising or Scorpio moon potentially. It's now time to support yourself and support others in living a better life. It's more aligned with your soul, that feels better, that feels good, that feels abundant, that feels rich, that feels stable. You deserve to live in the light, and you deserve to live a stable, grounded, peaceful, earthly life. You don't deserve to just stay in Hades, stay in the underworld, stay in the dark, stay in the shadows all the time and suffer of all that you've done in your life and the karma that you're reaping from that. No. You deserve to live in the light and not having to have all these crises happen to you. So live in the light and live that kind of life. So anyway, I want to move on to Sagittarius. Now, how can you be free to do your own thing and go your own way, Sagittarius? And by doing that, you inspire others to do the same. By being who you are, you're inspiring others to also be who they are. Equally. Distributing them. Where you are being free to do your own thing and, to go your own way. And kind of repeating myself here. So moving on to my next point, by you being free, by you being fully liberated, you inspire others to be liberated as well. That's also something. And then, where have you not been allowed to be your free, authentic self? Where have you not been allowed to be totally free? Totally true to yourself. That kind of a person. Now it's time to reclaim that freedom. Be more of yourself in that sense. Now this is a stretch, and it's very likely that you may not do this, but I want to reduce this. I'm going to say something really, really big, and I'm going to try to reduce it down. So the point that I have, that I want to make, is about bringing people from cross cultures, different places and different backgrounds, bringing people together. Maybe you have people in your life that disagree with one another, that you want to bring resemblances together. You want to bring people together in your own life, in your own circle. I know when I did the Invention, there was resemblance prayers where we had, where two people who were very, very similar were brought together in harmony, and there was a celebration for them. And of course it was, all pretend, but anyway. But being the mediator that brings these two people together, that brings these opposing or different ways of just being different. And you're forming those together. You're bringing those two into harmony, into balance. And you're doing all these kind of things like that. So you're bringing this into harmony. You're bringing this into balance. Where you bring all these things together. And you form harmony, and you form beauty, and you form all these kind of things with harmonizing between the different cultures and different backgrounds, all these kind of things like that. So anyway, it's enough of the point rant about that. But anyway, Capricorn. How can people be more spiritually connected as opposed to logically connected? How can people connect more spiritually to one another? On a spirit level, as opposed to just operating on just, connecting on a building on the practical level, on the logical level, on the, doing all these kind of things like that. So what about the spiritual connection? What about the soul center connection there? And then how can you co-create your life to build up a new structure for your life? What kind of structures do you want to build that can support you in building that life for yourself that you really want? Which you're co-creating, because you're ultimately co-creating your own life, building your own life for yourself. And then new forms of spirituality that can help you get out of your logical mind. Because you're so in your logical mind, so in the pragmatic, having to do details, having to take care of things, having to take care of all these details and tasks in the 3D world, having to have these responsibilities and these duties and all these things. How can you connect to spirituality? You're getting yourself into your body and your soul. Connecting with your body and your soul. And you're connecting to your own spirituality. You're connecting to the divine. You're connecting to the divine. You're having connection with the higher power. All those kind of things like that. So that is what I want to say for Capricorn. Now for Aquarius, where and how have others not been kind for humanity as a whole? Where have other people in your life not cared for others, not cared for what's going on with other people and what's going on with what's going on in your life? All those kind of things like that. It's about getting out of, also that's one thing, is looking at where people have not been kind and considerate toward others, toward humanity, toward what's going on with the greater good and all these kind of things like that. So it's about getting out of mental head connections, and connecting on a more soul-based level with others, connecting more soul to soul with others. How can you get out of your head, connect more spiritually to others, connect more deeply to others in that kind of way? So, okay. So then the final thing is, can you connect more spiritually with others in a soulful way with them? Can you connect more greatly to others, more spiritually, more soulfully? Connecting with others in that kind of a way. Where you're not connecting just intellectually in a very, very detached kind of way, where it's a deep soul connection, that kind of thing like that. So, anyway, Pisces. What old emotional narrative have you told yourself, Pisces? Now it's time to write a new story and not be tied to the old story, not be tied to the old way of being, the old narrative. Excuse me. Or you're not tied to just what other people have told you about your life is in your own, maybe it's helpless, maybe it's a victim, maybe it's feeling very, very unworthy of yourself, unloving to yourself, maybe it's feeling very, very wishy-washy and scattered, maybe it's confusion or disillusionment or lack of clarity. I mean, whatever it could be for you, you don't have to live out that story anymore. You can create a new story. You can write a new story. You can create a blank page of a new story for yourself and not be tied to the old narrative of that. So then how do you want to distribute power so it's more equal for everyone? How do you want to make power more equitable, more fair, more all these kind of things like that? Making it more compassionate, because we all deserve to live more compassionately. No one deserves to have more power than anyone else. We're all equal when it comes to power, and I think that with Pluto and Aquarius, we're waking up to everyone having equal power, with the power to the people, where it's more democratic, where these little many societies are forming and things are becoming decentralized into many communities and micro communities and all these kind of things. I think that with Pluto and Aquarius, we're easily seeing that happen, because people have more the desire to do their own thing and have the autonomy and sovereignty over their own city and town and sense of place and all these kind of things like that. So decentralization is a really, really big thing that I think we're going to be seeing really, really strongly over the next 20 years until 2044. So, okay. So, alrighty. So then, it's about allowing your intuition, the current, to flow toward change and go with that. And use your adaptability in hand. Use your adaptability to your advantage. You're allowing yourself to flow with your intuition, with what feels right in the moment, where you're not stuck and rigid on a certain thing, on a certain wave direction, on a certain being, on a certain light switch, on a certain balante, and being stuck on that when you know it's not working out for you, when you know it doesn't resonate for you. And you're choosing instead to follow your intuition, to trust your inner knowing, and going in the direction that feels true for you. Flowing with the current, flowing with the wind, flowing with what feels right. Truly doing what feels right. And that's the invitation also for Pisces, is to flow with your intuition. They're meant to flow. They're meant to be like the wind, very, very flowing and very adaptable and all this. So can you use that to your advantage at this time of Neptune sextile Pluto, exact on July 25th, but really the whole month of July, and really until 2032. This is a forecast not for just 2026, but all until 2032. This is a generational transit. So anyway, that's all I have to say for Pisces and all 12 zodiac signs. I hope that you found something out of your reading. This was a longer one. This was a longer reading this time. Oh, it's only 1 hour and 13 minutes. Well, how about them apples? I had to get whatever I needed to say out. I didn't want to have to make 2 videos today. I wanted to express that. So this was a longer episode. I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope that you found value from it. And if you did like this video, comment down below on how this resonated for you. And if this resonated, then claim it in the comments down below. And also, I'll see you for tomorrow's episode, which will be about Venus in the sign of Virgo for the collective tomorrow, and then I'll be doing Venus and Virgo for all 12 zodiac signs a couple days from now, probably, unless I feel like it tomorrow. The Venus in Virgo is really about discernment and being critical in relationships, healthy critical, being, taking care of your own health, prioritizing your own health and well-being. It's all things that I'm going to be talking about with finding that there's beauty in that. There's beauty in cleanliness and purity and service. So I'll be talking about all those things when I discuss Venus and Virgo tomorrow. Anyway, Thank you for tuning in. I will see you into tomorrow's episode of the Cosmic Sky Podcast. Bye for now.